Howdy, Space Rangers, Captain Phoenix here, and before I begin the video, I would like to give a huge shout out and respect to Captain Midnight for the footage in this video. Universal, like Lego, is very temperamental of what I can and can't show in my videos, and may claim or block me for the smallest of reasons. So huge thanks to Captain Midnight, and a link to his channel will be down below in the description as always. Anyway, I recently watched Jurassic World Rebirth. This video isn't really meant to serve as a review of the movie, but instead a talk on the franchise as a whole. However, if you do want my thoughts on the movie, I thought it was fine. Simply fine. The visuals were good, the set pieces were fun, there was a decent amount of tension, and the overall plot was serviceable. Though there were some issues I picked up on, such as the movie being overly formulaic and dependent on the early films, the shallow characters, and the D-Rex changing sizes in between scenes, which was kind of noticeable since he's barely in the film. All of that sounds like standard movie experience stuff, right? But here's the kicker. The real reason I made this video, and that is when watching Rebirth, I realized that I genuinely hate the world building in these movies. It's so bad it might just completely kill my love for the Jurassic franchise. And with that, let's dive into why. Before I start the rant, I would like to clarify that this doesn't have anything to do with the Park trilogy. Those movies are fine and self-contained enough to stand on their own. My issue starts with the world movies, basically everything from Fallen Kingdom onwards. And yeah, that movie is basically what kickstarted this trend of the franchise being nothing but broken promises. And honestly, it's where everything went wrong. Having the dinos leave the island was somehow both the best and worst thing that happened to this franchise. And with that said, let's start with the Titanosaur in the room. Why the hell did Universal think that killing off all the dinosaurs in the mainland was a good idea? One could argue that they wanted to revert to the status quo after trying something different that audiences didn't like. But the problem is that they didn't give us what we wanted. Fans didn't like Dominion not because it was following up a garbage movie with dinosaurs in the open modern world, quite the opposite actually. They hated it because it didn't focus on any of the interesting chaotic stuff we wanted. Universal failed to give us the movie we wanted despite promising it and hit the reset button as fast as they could before doing anything interesting. The problem with that is that Fallen Kingdom had already given us a scenario we could not come back from, and by doing that, they essentially erased the whole point of the last trilogy of reintroducing dinosaurs to the wild. With just a blob of text in Rebirth, they essentially said, those last 3 movies we had you invested in for 7 years that made us boatloads of money, those 7+ hours of content, yeah, they mean nothing now. Complete crap. You shouldn't have wasted your time with us, lol. I mean, yeah, I like taking the piss out on the World Trilogy too. It took way too long to find its footing, and by the time it did, most fans were checked out. But still, that's a major story told in the world of Jurassic Park. With Rebirth, it's like if someone gave a Star Wars fan the keys to the canon and they undid the entire sequel trilogy. The next movie basically starts with Rey waking up from a bad dream and saying, whew, that was crazy. Glad that didn't happen. Star Wars is saved, right? You guys love Star Wars again, don't you? To all Star Wars fans watching this, please reserve your "we would actually prefer that" till after the rant. Yeah, you finally got your wish, but what's there now but empty space? You're trying to recapture the magic of the previous films, but just like the big bad corporation, you failed at that too! And that's my issue with Rebirth. They took all the groundwork the previous trilogy gave it, burned it, and did nothing with the new land. The movie bends over backwards to handwave the events of Fallen Kingdom and Dominion just to be a typical island action-adventure movie that doesn't even set up future stories to be told. And this is why I will die on the hill. The killing of the dinosaurs was the dumbest thing they could have done. You can hate the World Trilogy, you can hate the cloning stuff, and so on, but I genuinely think that releasing the dinosaurs was a good move. It gave the franchise something fresh and new to deal with while still focusing on the discussion of the hubris of man. But no! Kill them off because audiences love seeing the main cast stuck on Dino Murder Island number 15,768. Can't try anything too different now, can we? Otherwise that might not make the big bucks. Shut the hell up. The last 3 Jurassic World movies made over $1 billion. You can afford to try something slightly different. And I genuinely don't understand the people who are in support of this decision, as not only does it blow from an executive standpoint, but it also doesn't make sense in canon. You'll hear stuff like, well duh, of course dinosaurs wouldn't survive in our world. The temperature is off and the food isn't viable for their bodies. This makes me wonder if they even saw the movies. First of all, it's important to remember that these aren't true dinosaurs. They are animals with a dinosaur base that have been spliced with modern animals like frogs. Second, we have on-screen evidence of these dinosaurs doing well in different habitats. Dominion takes place 4 years after Fallen Kingdom, and not only have dinosaurs thrived, they've multiplied. Blue literally gets a baby in that movie. And we even see a Brachiosaurus chilling in a snowy biome. It's not even close to being scientifically accurate, even to its own franchise's science. All this proves is that they could survive in the modern day, and the retcon was just plain dumb and forced. And we haven't even touched on the stuff in the actual Rebirth movie. The movie starts off saying that people are bored of dinosaurs, museums aren't selling tickets anymore, and wholly unrealistic, Batman! In what world are people bored of dinosaurs, let alone animals? Little kids alone are enamored by animals 24/7. Why do you think we have so many talking animal movies? Do you know how many views a video of a puppy simply barking bring in? You're telling me that people wouldn't be interested in something the size of a skyscraper? Freaking zoos and aquariums exist. Have you ever seen anyone IRL say that they're bored of elephants or bears? The whole reason 2 parks were built in the first place in universe is because people were in love with the idea of dinosaurs in the modern world. How do you miss the mark this badly? And the movie has the audacity to try and have a beautiful scene with a titanosaur in the wild, but justifies it by saying, imagine seeing a dinosaur in the wild with no busy streets or buildings or whatever. And while I won't deny that it's cooler seeing an animal in its natural habitat, the movie has made it clear that dinosaurs are not widespread enough to be a mundane discussion in everyday life. So seeing one in the middle of the street at the beginning of the movie should also be a treat. It's trying to have its cake and eat it too. And I don't know why. And then we have the reason why they need dinosaur blood. The characters say it's for medical reasons, which, sure, that's a solid plot for one movie, but it could have so easily reworked it so that they need the blood of wild dinosaurs to save the ones on the mainland. By finding a cure for them to survive and providing land for them to roam, the movie could have still had its dinos are dying subplot, while also introducing new topics for future movies to tackle. But hey, that's just me, I guess. Then we have the new island, and I'm left wondering why they didn't just use Sorna again. Why dedicate a whole other island to mutants, of which only 2 show up in the movie? The original trilogy kept the island count simple. We only needed 2. It really wasn't complex, but of course, we can always trust the world power of the franchise to bring up stuff that didn't exist in the other movies. Lockwood. But in all seriousness, there was no reason to bring in yet another tropical equatorial island. You're seriously going to tell me that aside from the islands where the park was situated and where the dinosaurs were raised, there's also another island where mutants were created? What next? An island set aside for the dinos' extracurricular activities? Rebirth also takes a strange approach to its marketing and decides to hype up hybrids and mutants as being a major part of the movie, even though A, every dinosaur in this franchise is a hybrid, again, the frog DNA mixing, B, we already had 2 hybrid dinosaur villains, and C, there's really only one true mutant in this movie. The mutant ones are hybrids, and he only shows up at the very end. It's borderline false marketing if you think about it for a bit. This movie, despite how it carries itself, is no better than its predecessors. It too is filled with false promises. I don't normally say X franchise should die, as I always believe a worthy story can be told, but I am willing to make an exception for Jurassic Park. This is a franchise that has become comprised of broken promises and shooting itself in the foot every time because of dumb executive decisions. Every movie feels like it has to come up with a contrived reason to not focus on the larger world, but still needs a reason to exist and get us back to the bread and butter of humans running from dinosaurs in enclosed spaces. There is a noticeable lack of interest to evolve, and it is actively hurting the franchise. Hell, at this point, they literally have no reason to go back to the islands and have the movies happen, other than to fight for the survival of the dinosaurs, which Fallen Kingdom already did. The canon, as of now, has them literally on their way to curing all types of respiratory and heart problems for humans. Mark my words, if the next movie doesn't expand on this or retcons it, it's definitive proof that they're just throwing crap at the wall to see what sticks. Honestly, if they wouldn't let it die, I say just hard reboot the franchise. This era of Jurassic Park has honestly come to its end, and it should have ended quite a long while ago, in all honesty. In conclusion, dinosaur movies deserve better, guys. They really do. Watch Chaos Theory on Netflix, please. It's the best Jurassic Park content we've gotten since the first movie, and actually strengthens the trilogy it's a part of. Also check out Primitive War when it comes out. It looks interesting. Anyway guys, that's going to be all from me today. Tell me, what do you think of the world building of Jurassic World? And what do you think of the franchise and where it is now? Do you like it? Do you hate it? Do you have some ideas for improvements? Let me know down in the comments below. And as always, let's have a discussion. Thank you guys so very much for watching. Be sure to like if you like, subscribe if you haven't already, hit the notification button to be part of the team, stop a cow, and with that, I'll be Captain Phoenix and I will see you in another universe. Goodbye, my Rangers.